Grumpy Folktales presents The Queen Who Fought for Her Throne. In the heart of the ancient kingdom of Nikazi, where the golden sun bathed the land in warmth and the river whispered to the wind, there lived a queen unlike any other. Her name was Amara, daughter of warriors, keeper of peace, and a woman whose strength had been forged in the fires of betrayal, love, and war. Nikazi had not always known peace. Once, the land was torn apart by rival clans, dark sorcery, and the ruthless ambition of men who sought power above all else. But through courage, wisdom, and unshakable resolve, Queen Amara rose to unite her people under one banner. Her voice commanded loyalty, her compassion inspired hope, and her presence reminded all that a crown is not merely worn on the head, but carried in the heart. This is not a tale of a life lived in comfort. It is the story of battles fought in the shadows, alliances forged in desperation, and sacrifices made when the world demanded a price too high. From the palace steps to the battlefield, Amara's journey became a living legend, a testament to the strength of a woman who refused to bend to the storms around her. But as every wise elder in Nikazi says, even the calmest river remembers the storm. The end of one struggle often marks the beginning of another. And though peace had settled like soft rain over the kingdom, the horizon now carried the silhouette of a lone rider, bearing a message that would stir the ashes of the past. The sun rose golden over the kingdom of Nikazi, casting warm light on the bustling streets lined with colorful fabrics and vibrant drums. Today was no ordinary day. It was the day Princess Amara would be crowned queen, the first woman to wear the crown in a century. The air was thick with excitement and whispers of hope. The palace gates opened wide, welcoming nobles, warriors, and villagers alike. Amara stood tall in her regal attire, a shimmering crown resting lightly on her braided hair, her heart pounding beneath the embroidered silk gown. Her father, the late King Obasi, had passed just weeks ago, leaving the kingdom shaken and uncertain. Now, the mantle of leadership was hers. As the chief priest stepped forward to place the sacred necklace around her neck, a hush fell over the crowd. "Rise, Queen Amara," he intoned solemnly. The crowd erupted in cheers, but not all eyes sparkled with joy. From the shadows of the marble columns, dark figures watched, eyes cold with envy and hatred. Among them was the powerful Duke Mbeki, a man with a fierce claim to the throne and an army ready to back his ambition. For years, he had waited for a chance to seize power. This day was a challenge to him, and he would not stand idle. Amara felt the weight of the crown settle on her head. Not just a symbol of glory, but of danger and sacrifice. Her journey had only just begun, and the kingdom's fate rested in her hands. The echo of the scream still lingered as chaos erupted inside the grand hall. Guards rushed to the fallen soldier, but the damage was done. The shadow of danger now hung heavily over the celebration. Amara's heart pounded, not just from fear, but from a creeping suspicion this was no random attack. Whispers spread quickly. The late King Obasi's death had never been fully explained. Rumors spoke of poison, betrayal, and dark secrets lurking within the palace walls. Now, with Amara on the throne, those secrets threatened to unravel everything. Determined to protect her kingdom, the new queen summoned her most trusted advisor, Efe, a wise and loyal man who had served her family for decades. Behind closed doors, Amara shared her fears. "My father's death was no accident," she said. "And now, they want me gone too." Efe nodded gravely. "There are those who believe the throne should belong to Duke Mbeki. He's already gathering support among the nobles and the army." Amara's gaze hardened. She could not let her father's legacy die in darkness or fall into the hands of a power-hungry usurper. Her first move had to be decisive. Just as they planned their next step, a soft knock came at the door. A palace servant entered, pale and trembling. In his hand, he held a sealed scroll with the royal insignia. Amara broke the seal and unfolded the letter. Her eyes widened in shock. Inside was a chilling message. "Your crown will be stained with blood before the week is over." The ominous message weighed heavily on Queen Amara's mind. She paced the marble floors of her chamber, each step echoing the growing storm around her. Who had sent the warning? A desperate enemy? A traitor within? The palace walls suddenly felt like a prison. Outside, the city buzzed with rumors. Nobles whispered in dark corners, and the once loyal guards eyed her with suspicion. Even those who had cheered at her coronation now questioned her strength and right to rule. The queen's advisors urged caution, but Amara knew waiting would only strengthen her enemies. Late that night, she summoned her closest confidants for a secret council. Together, they devised a plan to uncover the traitors hiding in plain sight. Amara's sharp eyes scanned the faces before her. Could she trust any of them? As the meeting ended, a hooded figure slipped a small parchment onto her table. When Amara unfolded it, her blood ran cold. It was a list of names, nobles, and soldiers who were plotting against her. Before she could react, the flicker of torchlight revealed a shadow moving swiftly through the palace corridors. A soft whisper brushed past her ear, chilling her to the bone. "You cannot run from what is coming, Queen Amara." The chilling whisper echoed long after the shadow vanished. Queen Amara clenched her fists, feeling the weight of the crown heavier than ever. Fear was a luxury she couldn't afford. She took a deep breath, steadying her nerves, and declared quietly to herself, "I will not let this kingdom fall." The next morning, Amara rode through the palace gardens, her loyal guards flanking her. The sun shone bright, but her mind was clouded with plans and suspicions. The list of traitors lay hidden in her chambers, a reminder of the invisible war she faced. She summoned Efe once more. "We need to act swiftly. If the nobles believe I am weak, they will strike. I must prove I am stronger than any of them." Efe nodded. "People need to see your strength. Public support will be your greatest shield." With renewed determination, Amara arranged a grand feast to honor the kingdom's heroes, inviting nobles, soldiers, and villagers alike. But beneath the laughter and music, she watched every glance, every gesture. Trust was a scarce treasure here. Just as the feast reached its peak, a sudden commotion erupted near the entrance. A rider burst through the gates, his face pale and wild-eyed. He pushed through the crowd, shouting a single terrifying word. "The queen's life is in danger! There's a plot tonight to end her reign!" The feast fell into stunned silence as the rider's warning spread like wildfire. Queen Amara's eyes locked onto Efe's steady gaze. Without hesitation, Efe stepped forward. "We must act quickly. Gather the guards. No one leaves this palace until we uncover the threat." Amara nodded, her heart pounding. She trusted Efe more than anyone, but even trust had its limits in a palace full of secrets. Together, they organized patrols through the corridors and sealed the gates. That night, beneath the flickering torches, the queen and her advisor moved quietly through the shadowed halls. Every creak, every whisper made Amara's senses sharpen. Was the assassin among them? Or was this warning a clever trap? Suddenly, Efe stopped. Ahead, a door creaked open just a crack, revealing a flicker of candlelight. They exchanged a glance before slipping inside. Inside the chamber stood a figure cloaked in darkness, a figure they both recognized. Before Amara could speak, the stranger's voice was a cold whisper. "You trust too easily, Your Majesty. Your enemies wear many faces, even those closest to you." A dagger gleamed in the dim light. The room spun as Amara felt a sharp pain. Betrayal had come from the one she trusted most. Pain flared through Amara's arm as she stumbled back, clutching the wound. The traitor's dagger wasn't just meant to harm, it was coated with a deadly poison. Her vision blurred, but her will refused to break. Efe, her trusted advisor, collapsed beside her, eyes filled with regret and cold calculation. "Forgive me, Your Majesty," he whispered before falling silent. Chaos erupted in the palace as guards rushed in, weapons drawn. Amara's loyal soldiers fought fiercely to protect her, but the poison coursing through her veins blurred her strength. In the midst of the turmoil, a mysterious servant appeared, offering a silver cup filled with an herbal antidote. Desperately, Amara drank, praying it would save her. Slowly, clarity returned, but the threat remained real and deadly. As dawn broke, the queen lay weak but alive, her mind racing. Who else in the palace was part of the conspiracy? Could she trust anyone? Then, a trembling messenger arrived, with a letter sealed in black wax. Amara broke the seal and read the chilling words. "This is only the beginning. The throne will be stained with blood, starting tonight." The queen's near death had shaken the entire palace, but Amara knew the fight was far from over. With her strength slowly returning, she vowed to root out every traitor hidden within the walls. Using the lists from before and her keen instincts, Amara began watching those around her more closely. Every smile, every whisper, every glance could hide a deadly secret. She set a trap, a false rumor of a secret meeting among the rebels to flush out the spy. Days passed in tense silence, until one evening a shadow slipped silently through the corridors. A servant caught the figure trying to deliver a coded message to Duke Mbecky's camp outside the city. The spy was unmasked, a trusted courtier known for his charm and wit. But before guards could seize him, he vanished into the night, leaving behind a cryptic note. "You may catch me, but the poison runs deeper than you know." Realizing the danger was greater than she imagined, Queen Amara knew she needed allies beyond the palace walls. The rival kingdom of Zawadi had long been a foe, but in these dark times, old enemies could become new friends. Under the cover of darkness, Amara sent a trusted envoy to Prince Jabari of Zawadi, proposing a secret alliance. The prince, known for his sharp mind and fierce loyalty to his people, agreed to meet her in a hidden forest clearing. At the midnight meeting, the air was thick with tension. Amara and Jabari spoke in hushed tones, exchanging promises of support and strategy. But just as their pact was sealed, distant cries shattered the quiet night. Suddenly, torches appeared among the trees. Ambush! Enemy soldiers from Duke Mbecky's forces closed in, surrounding the clearing. Amara and Jabari drew their swords, backs against each other, fighting desperately for survival. But as the enemy pressed closer, a chilling realization hit Amara. Someone had betrayed their secret meeting. Trapped in the forest clearing, Queen Amara and Prince Jabari fought side by side, their swords clashing against the enemy's relentless assault. The moonlight glinted off their blades, but the numbers against them were overwhelming. Just as Amara felt her strength waning, a hidden path opened. A group of loyal warriors emerged from the shadows, cutting through the enemy ranks and turning the tide. With their help, Amara and Jabari escaped into the dense woods, hearts pounding with adrenaline. Safe for now. But the attack confirmed what Amara feared most. The enemy's reach was long and their spies many. That night, back at the secret hideout, Amara and Jabari planned their next move. They needed to unite their forces quickly before Duke Mbecky's grip tightened. As they discussed strategies, a sudden knock echoed at the door. A breathless messenger entered, holding a tattered scroll. Amara unfolded it, eyes scanning the chilling message. "Tonight, your closest ally will turn their blade against you." The warning echoed like a thunderclap in the hidden chamber. Queen Amara's gaze darted to Prince Jabari, who looked just as unsettled. "We must find out who it is before it's too late," she said, her voice steady but urgent. Suspicion tightened its grip on the group. Every glance became a question. Every smile, a possible lie. Amara realized that the greatest danger wasn't just outside the walls, it was within her circle of trust. That night, she sent spies disguised as servants to watch her closest allies. Secrets began to unravel. Whispered conversations and stolen meetings were uncovered. In the dead of night, Amara was summoned to a dimly lit chamber. There, standing with a dagger gleaming in hand, was one she had never suspected, her own captain of the guard. His voice was cold and filled with bitterness. "You wear a crown, but you will never rule this kingdom." Before Amara could react, footsteps echoed behind her, the chamber doors slammed shut, trapping her in darkness. Trapped in the dark chamber, Queen Amara's mind raced. The captain's betrayal cut deeper than any blade. Yet, even in chains, her spirit refused to break. Quietly, she began to search for a way out. Meanwhile, outside, loyal guards prepared for the inevitable siege. Amara's enemies had grown bold, and the palace was no longer safe. The queen's commanders gathered to devise a battle plan that could save the kingdom or doom it forever. Maps were spread across tables, strategies debated fiercely. Amara's voice, though weakened, commanded respect as she directed the defense. She knew every inch of her land, every secret passage, every ally she could call upon. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a scout burst through the gates with grave news. The enemy's army marches tonight. They bring more than soldiers, they carry a weapon the kingdom has never seen. As darkness swallowed the kingdom, the ominous rumble of thousands of footsteps grew louder. Duke Mbeki's army had arrived, surrounding the palace like a pack of wolves. Flames from their torches flickered against the ancient stone walls, casting eerie shadows that danced like ghosts. Inside, Queen Amara stood atop the battlements, eyes blazing with determination. The loyal guards readied their weapons, arrows nocked and swords drawn. The weight of the kingdom rested on their shoulders and on her courage. The enemy's war drums echoed through the night, a terrifying rhythm that promised bloodshed. But the queen had a secret weapon hidden deep within the palace, a mysterious ancient artifact said to protect the ruler in times of great peril. Just as the first arrows flew, a deafening crack split the air. The ground trembled beneath their feet. From the heart of the enemy camp, a massive siege engine began to move forward, a colossal beast of wood and iron, its jaws ready to tear down the palace gates. Amara's heart clenched as she realized the battle for her throne would test every ounce of her strength and will to survive. The colossal siege engine roared as it lumbered toward the palace gates, splintering stone and shaking the very foundations beneath Queen Amara's feet. Arrows rained down, and the defenders fought fiercely, but the enemy's force was overwhelming. Inside the chaos, Amara's trusted guard captain, now proven loyal, grabbed her arm. "Your Majesty, the gates will fall. You must escape before it's too late." With a heavy heart, Amara nodded. She had to survive, to save her people. Guided through secret tunnels whispered about in legends, she slipped away from the crumbling fortress. The narrow passage was dark and damp, but it led to a hidden exit beyond the city walls, a place few knew. As she emerged into the cold night air, the distant sounds of battle faded behind her. Yet, freedom felt like a double-edged sword. Where could she find safety when her enemies were everywhere? And what if those closest to her had betrayed her? Suddenly, a faint rustling in the bushes startled her. She spun around only to come face to face with a shadowy figure whose eyes gleamed in the moonlight. "You're not as alone as you think, Your Majesty." The shadowy figure stepped forward, revealing himself as Kofi, a legendary hunter, an old friend from Amara's childhood. His eyes sparkled with fierce loyalty. "I've come to help you," he said quietly. Kofi led Amara deep into the forest, to a hidden refuge, known only to a few, a village untouched by the war, where she could heal and gather strength. The villagers welcomed her cautiously but with respect. Days passed as Amara recovered, her thoughts never far from the throne she had lost. Kofi shared stories of the kingdom's secret allies, and together they began planning her return. But peace was fragile. One evening, a scout arrived, breathless, eyes wide with terror. "The enemy has found us," he gasped. "They're coming to burn the refuge to the ground." Before Amara could react, a distant roar shattered the night air, a sound more terrifying than any battle cry. "Something far worse is heading this way." As the terrifying roar echoed through the trees, the villagers scrambled to prepare defenses. Amidst the chaos, Amara found solace in the small hut of Mama Nia, the village healer. The old woman's hands were gentle, but her eyes sharp, filled with wisdom centuries deep. Mama Nia tended to Amara's wounds and shared ancient stories of courage and survival. She spoke of a hidden power within the kingdom an ancient force that could turn the tide of any battle but required great sacrifice. Intrigued yet cautious, Amara pressed for more. Mama Nia's gaze darkened. The power is not without cost. To wield it, one must give up what they hold most dear. That night, as Amara lay awake pondering the choice before her, the village's peace shattered again. A shrill scream pierced the darkness, followed by the sound of burning wood. Rushing outside, Amara saw flames licking the sky. An enemy force had reached the village, and in the heart of the fire stood a figure cloaked in shadow, watching her with cold, unblinking eyes. "Your time is running out, Queen Amara." The flames devoured the peaceful village, but Queen Amara stood tall, determination blazing brighter than the fire. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm her, a battle cry rang out through the smoke-filled air. Emerging from the shadows was Tunde, an old childhood friend and fierce warrior, his eyes sharp with resolve. He had heard of the queen's plight and returned from distant lands, rallying a band of skilled fighters ready to stand by her side. Together, Amara and Tunde led the villagers in a desperate defense, pushing back the attackers and saving what remained of the refuge. The battle was fierce, but their unity sparked hope. As dawn broke, Tunde pulled Amara aside. "The enemy's forces grow stronger, and so do their tricks," he warned. "We need allies more than just the villagers." Before Amara could respond, a scout burst in, breathless and wild-eyed. "There's news from the capital. The throne is no longer vacant." Amara's heart skipped a beat. "Who has taken it?" The scout's face turned pale. "Duke Mbeki. But he's not alone. Someone even closer to you has pledged loyalty to him." The news hit Queen Amara like a thunderbolt. Someone close to her had betrayed her and pledged loyalty to Duke Mbeki. Doubt gnawed at her, but there was no time to waste. With Tunde's help, she sent swift messengers to neighboring tribes and distant kingdoms, calling for aid. Word spread quickly. Some answered with open arms, others with hesitation, wary of the risk. At a secret meeting deep in the forest, leaders from loyal clans and kingdoms gathered around a blazing fire. Amara spoke passionately, her voice steady despite the burden she carried. "This kingdom belongs to all of us. Together, we can reclaim it." Hope flickered in the eyes of the allies, but not all were convinced. Whispers of old grudges and rivalries threatened to unravel the fragile unity. Suddenly, a scout burst into the camp, gasping for breath. "The palace is preparing for war, and they've imprisoned someone you care about." Amara's blood ran cold. "Who?" The scout hesitated, then whispered, "Your younger brother, Prince Aid." Under the cloak of night, Queen Amara and her newfound allies devised a daring plan to rescue Prince Aid. The timing was crucial. The kingdom's annual Festival of Masks was days away, a time when disguises blurred the lines between friend and foe. Amara decided to attend the festival herself, masked and unrecognizable, to move within the palace walls unnoticed. The night shimmered with lanterns, music, and swirling dancers. But beneath the celebration, secrets lurked in every shadow. As Amara weaved through the crowd, she spotted familiar faces, some friends, some foes, each hiding their true intentions behind painted masks. Her heart pounded as she searched for any sign of her brother. Suddenly, a masked figure slipped a folded note into her hand and vanished into the crowd. The note read, "Beware the one who smiles too brightly. The throne's darkest secret walks among you." Before Amara could react, the grand clock tower's bell tolled midnight, and the festival's lights flickered, then went out completely, plunging the palace into darkness. Darkness swallowed the palace, and chaos erupted as the guests stumbled in confusion. Using the blackout as cover, Queen Amara slipped away from the crowd, clutching the cryptic note tightly. Her mind raced. Who was the smiling traitor? Could it be someone in her closest circle, or a new enemy wearing a familiar face? With every step, the weight of the crown pressed down heavier. Determined to turn the tables, Amara devised a risky gambit. She would spread a false rumor of her own demise, hoping to lure out the conspirators and flush them into the open. Late that night, disguised and unseen, she watched from the shadows as whispers spread through the palace halls. Then, in a secluded chamber, she overheard voices plotting to seize the throne. Suddenly, a hand clamped over her mouth, pulling her into darkness. A cold voice hissed, "Your game ends now, Queen Amara." The cold voice belonged to Duke Mbeki's fiercest warrior, a man known for his deadly skill with the sword. Dragging Amara into a secret courtyard, he challenged her with a sneer. "If you want the throne, prove it with your blade." Though weakened by poison and betrayal, Amara's spirit burned fierce. She drew her sword, heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The duel was swift and brutal, every clash echoing through the silent night. As they fought, shadows shifted. Suddenly, a hidden figure appeared, one of Amara's most trusted allies. But was it friend or foe? Before the final strike could land, a piercing whistle shattered the tension, halting the duel. Amara's opponent vanished into the shadows, but the real battle had only just begun. The mysterious figure approached Amara, handing her a sealed letter. With trembling hands, she opened it, revealing a secret that could change everything. "Your father's death was no accident. The truth lies closer than you think." The words in the letter shook Queen Amara to her core. Her father's death, her father, the great King Obasi, was not a mere accident or illness as the court had claimed. It was murder, plotted by those she had once called allies. Determined to uncover the truth, Amara sought out the royal historian, an old sage who held the kingdom's secrets in dusty scrolls and forgotten tales. Together, they pieced together a web of deceit evidence, pointing to a hidden hand behind Duke Mbeki's rise. But the more Amara learned, the more dangerous her quest became. Every step closer to the truth brought new threats, whispers in the dark, and eyes watching from the shadows. One night, as she returned to her chambers, a figure stepped from the darkness, a woman cloaked in black, her voice cold and mocking. "Stop digging, Your Majesty. Some secrets are better left buried." Before Amara could react, the woman vanished into the night, leaving behind a single, chilling token, a black feather. Queen Amara stood before the gathered crowd in the palace courtyard, the weight of her crown heavy but her resolve unwavering. News of the betrayal and hidden plots had spread, shaking the kingdom to its core. With fiery passion, Amara addressed her people. "This throne is not mine alone. It belongs to every soul in Nikazi. We will stand united against those who seek to divide us." Her words ignited hope. The villagers, soldiers, and nobles alike cheered, their loyalty reignited by her courage and honesty. For the first time in weeks, a spark of unity flickered through the kingdom. But even as the crowd celebrated, a shadow moved unseen through the streets. A messenger hurried to the queen with dire news. "Your enemies have kidnapped the village elder, the only man who holds the secret to the ancient weapon." Amara's heart tightened. Without the elder's knowledge, the kingdom's last hope could be lost forever. The sun rose blood red over the kingdom of Nikazi as Queen Amara's army marched toward the palace. The air was thick with tension, the distant clash of weapons echoing like thunder. Her allies stood firm, warriors from distant tribes united under her banner. The stakes were higher than ever. This battle would decide the kingdom's fate. As they advanced, Amara's thoughts flashed to the kidnapped village elder and the ancient weapon. He guarded a secret that could turn the tide of war. Finding him in time was crucial. Just as the armies collided, Amara spotted a figure moving through the chaos, her trusted guard captain, wounded but determined. He carried a scroll, the elder's message. Amara unfurled it and gasped. The weapon was hidden beneath the palace itself, a trap waiting to be sprung. But before she could act, a thunderous explosion shook the ground. The palace walls began to crumble. The ground trembled violently as the palace walls began to fall, sending clouds of dust into the bloodied air. Queen Amara's heart raced. The ancient weapon's secret was at stake, and time was slipping away. Amid the chaos, her loyal guard captain turned to her, his face pale but resolute. "Your Majesty, I will stay behind to detonate the traps and buy you time. You must lead the army to victory." Amara's eyes filled with tears, torn between the desire to save her friend and the duty to her people. "No sacrifice is too great for the kingdom," he said softly, before disappearing into the collapsing corridors. As the captain triggered the traps, explosions rocked the palace, halting the enemy advance and creating a path for Amara's forces. But the price was clear: the captain's sacrifice would not be forgotten. With renewed strength, Amara charged forward, but in the midst of battle, a shadow moved behind her, a hidden assassin preparing to strike. Amara sensed the assassin's presence just in time, twisting away from the deadly blade aimed at her back. With swift precision, she disarmed the attacker and sent him sprawling into the dust. The battlefield roared around her, her army pushing forward, rallying behind their queen's fearless courage. Slowly, Duke Mbekki's forces began to falter under the fierce onslaught. Victory was within reach, but the cost was heavy. The kingdom was scarred by war, and many brave souls lay fallen. Amara's heart ached for them, but she knew the fight was far from over. As the dust settled, a royal messenger approached, breathless and wide-eyed. "Your Majesty, there's one more threat, a secret you've never faced." Amara's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" The messenger hesitated before revealing a small, ancient box, sealed with an unfamiliar symbol. Inside is a power that could change everything if it falls into the wrong hands. The first light of dawn painted the kingdom in soft gold, a fragile peace settling over the battered land. Queen Amara stood atop the palace balcony, gazing at the horizon with tired but hopeful eyes. The war was over, Duke Mbekki defeated, and the throne secure once more. But rebuilding would be a longer battle. Villages needed tending, alliances mended, and trust restored. Amara turned to her closest advisors. "We must heal the kingdom from within. The people need more than a queen, they need a leader who listens." Just as she spoke, a distant horn echoed a summons from a neighboring kingdom. A new challenge was already on the horizon. Before Amara could respond, a shadow flickered behind her, and a cold voice whispered, "The crown you wear is never truly safe." The first light of dawn painted the kingdom in soft gold, a fragile peace settling over the battered land. Queen Amara stood atop the palace balcony, gazing at the horizon with tired but hopeful eyes. The war was over, Duke Mbekki defeated, and the throne secure once more. But rebuilding would be a longer battle. Villages needed tending, alliances mended, and trust restored. Amara turned to her closest advisors. "We must heal the kingdom from within. The people need more than a queen, they need a leader who listens." Just as she spoke, a distant horn echoed a summons from a neighboring kingdom. A new challenge was already on the horizon. Before Amara could respond, a shadow flickered behind her, and a cold voice whispered, "The crown you wear is never truly safe." The queen called her only child, Princess Nia, to her side. In the quiet chamber, Amara placed the heavy crown into Nia's small hands, her eyes filled with pride and caution. "You will inherit not just the throne, but the weight of this kingdom," she said softly. "Remember, a true leader serves her people with wisdom and courage." Nia nodded solemnly, the future resting on her young shoulders. But outside the palace, dark clouds gathered. A new threat was rising, one that could test the young princess's resolve even before her reign began. As mother and daughter embraced, a shadow watched from the palace gates, a silent promise of challenges yet to come. Queen Amara, alongside her allies and former enemies, gathered under the great baobab tree to sign a treaty that would bring lasting peace to the kingdom. The air was thick with tension and hope, as old wounds sought healing and new bonds were forged. The treaty promised unity and prosperity, a chance to rebuild what war had torn apart. Amara's voice rang clear as she spoke of forgiveness and strength, inspiring even the most hardened skeptics. But as the ink dried, a mysterious figure slipped away into the shadows. clutching a rolled parchment, an unsigned document bearing a secret clause that could unravel the fragile peace. Unbeknownst to all, the true battle for the kingdom's future was far from over. The kingdom of Nikazi basked in a rare moment of peace. Queen Amara stood proudly on the palace steps, watching children play and villagers tend to blossoming fields. Her journey had been long and filled with sacrifice, but hope now breathed through the land. She knew her story was only the beginning. The legacy she would leave was not just the crown she wore, but the unity and courage she inspired in her people. Yet, as the sun set, a lone rider appeared on the horizon, bearing a letter sealed with a strange symbol. Amara's heart tightened as she read the words inside. The shadows of the past are never truly gone. Prepare for a new dawn brings a new darkness. Grumpy Folktales Africa is a collection of long, short stories that reimagine traditional African folktales with a focus on grumpy characters and their eventual transformations. The series aims to entertain while imparting moral lessons through humor and relatable situations. Like stories with meaning? Subscribe to Grumpy Folktales Africa. Like, comment, and share now.